late 19th century, around 1900, as a reaction to the Rommel translation method, the direct method is named called direct because meaning should be connected directly with target language without translation into native language. So let's proceed to historical development. So in late 19th century, around 1800s, the seeds of the direct methods are sown. When he developed the series method, the series of methods he developed focusing about the verb conjugation through action-based lesson. For example, close the door, I open the door. And the second one, the natural method, inspired by the way of children learn their native language. This approach emphasizes the immersion in natural communication. Just for example, teacher use only target language and students learn by listening and responding. And early 20th century, around 1900s, the direct method take shape. Maximilian Berlitz, or he is known as a Berlitz method. So he becomes a popular, emphasizing direct method communication and avoiding translation. For example, the students learn vocabulary through real-life situation and dialogues. And another for this is Harold Palmer. He advocates for communicative approach focusing on natural association. For example, the students use games, role plays, and everyday conversation to engage students. And in 21st century, so around 1940s to 1960s, the direct method faced challenges. The first one is the immersion of programs. For example, the immersion of programs. Total immersion actively promotes use of target like drawing on direct method principle. For example, students live in community where they only hear and speak the target language. And the second one is the technology enhanced learning. So this technology enhanced learning allows for greater immersion and personalized learning experience, incorporating direct method principle. Just for example, interactive language learning platforms for providing authentic and content of opportunities for communication. So that's all, and let's proceed to the proponents, the 5 proponents of direct method. The first one proponent is Maximilian Berlitz, around 1852 to 1921. Maximilian Berlitz was a proponent linguist, and he is widely credited with popularizing the direct method known as the Berlitz method. And the second proponent talks about Miot, and 1826 to 1900s, so 1900s rather, was a key figure in the development of the direct method. Language teaching emphasized the communication in target language, eliminating the needs for communication or reliance on target learners or native tongue. And he believed that meaning should convey directly through demonstration, action, and visual aids. And let's proceed to Frank Bowen, 1833 to 1896. So Frank Bowen was a key figure in development of the direct method of language teaching. While not a sole inventor, his work laid crucial work for approach. His Bowen contribution shaped the direct method, the series method, the direct connection to experience, inductive grammar, and emphasis on oral communication. So the series of first method talks about the emphasizes learning language to emphasize the series of connected. This approach focuses on presenting language in natural and sequential order, mirroring children learn their first language. And the second one is direct connection to experience. Gowen believed that language learning should be directly connected to the real-world experiences. He emphasized using gesture, action, and visual aids to convey meaning rather than relying on or translations or abstract grammar rules. And the third one is inductive grammar. Gowen believed that grammar should be learned inductively through exposure to the language rather than explicit thought. He argued that learners would naturally pick up grammatical pattern through repeated exposure to correct usage. And the second one, and the last one, it talks about the emphasis on oral communication. Gowen prioritized the development of oral skills, believing that speaking and listening were essential for language acquisition. He saw that written language as secondary skill to develop after oral proficiency. And the fourth one is Felix Brown. Felix Brown, in his 1884 publication, argued for direct and spontaneously use of language, emphasizing that learners induce grammatical rules rather than study them. He also stressed the importance of systematic attention to pronunciation, meaning miming and demonstrations and gesture. Frank advocated for teaching verb through action, showing to walk by walking or eating by pretending to eat. He believed this direct connection between action and language helped learners understand and remember vocabulary and more effectively. And the second one is Wilhelm Wither. Wilhelm Wither was a German phonetician, was a strong advocate for direct method. He believed that language learning should focus on pronunciation and oral communication. He adopted and developed a system of phonetic transcription that was widely adopted. Wither emphasized the importance of accurate pronunciation from the beginning, using phonetic symbols and exercises to help learners master the sounds and the target language. He believed that the good pronunciation was essential for effective communication. That's all.
So next is 10 basic principles. So first is never translate, demonstrate. So teachers should only speak in the language you are learning, not your native language. So instead of explaining or translating, they should show you what things with your action pictures or this. Let's say for example, if the teacher is teaching the word apple, so in Spanish, they should show you an apple or point to one rather than just translating the word. And next is basic vocabulary is given first. At the beginning, you only learn words and sentences that are used in our daily life, like greetings, so simple questions and common objects. So let's say for example, we first learn phrases like hello, how are you, and words like book, pen, and food. So that is what we call make them figure out. So the fourth is oral transmission. So new words or ideas are introduced by teacher speaking and explaining things verbally, so not by writing them down first. So example, if you are learning the word for dog, the teacher might say, this is a dog, and then repeat it a few times while pointing to a dog so that they could oral understand it. So, and the fifth one is correct pronunciation and grammar are emphasized. So, you know, the teacher makes sure that students say things correctly, both in how words are pronounced and how sentences are structured. So, let's say for example, if a student says, I go to store, the teacher will correct them by saying, you should say, I go to the store. So, teacher, they correct it to understand again. So, 6. Both speech and listening comprehension are taught. So, you will practice both speaking and listening. So, the teacher will help you understand the language when it's spoken and help you speak it clearly. So, for example, the teacher might speak to you in the target language and you'll practice responding, listening carefully to their speech. So, they could learn the quality of what the readers need. So, next is learning by self-correction. If you make a mistake, the teacher will ask you a question or give you a choice to help you figure out the correct answer by yourself. So, let's say for example, if you say she's going to the store, so the teacher might also, does that sound right? Should it be she goes or she going? This helps you correct your own mistake. So this is the same in the both speech and listening comprehension are taught. So next is contextual or topical teaching. So lessons are focused on real-life situation or topic like traveling, shopping, or food, rather than a grammar or sentence structure done. So let's say for example, you might learn phrases like, where is the restaurant? So, or how much is this? When studying travel rather than focusing on specific grammar rules. So next is not memorization, but production. So you should start thinking directly in the language without translating from your own language. So using words in full sentences help you remember them better than just memorizing vocabulary itself. So, for example, instead of memorizing a list of words like apple, dog, books, you learn to say a complete sentence like the dog is big or I like apples. So these are the 10 basic principles. So these principles only focus on making language learning natural and practical, helping students use the language in real life situations, not just in theory. Thank you.
Now we have here the characteristics and functions of nonverbal codes. Nonverbal